What's going on, everybody? Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install these Kicker 6x8 speakers in your 10th gen F150. Now, real quick before we get started, I just want to note that I'm going to be doing this install on a 1997 F150 XLT, and this is obviously a regular cab truck. So if you're following along and you have an extended cab or a crew cab truck, the rear speaker install is going to look very different for you than it will for me. But the thing to note is that your front door panel removal and your front speaker install should be pretty much identical. It's also worth noting that these steps should be pretty much the same for any F-150 from 1997 to 2003, and it should also work on a 2004 Heritage model truck. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. First thing you want to do is grab a little flathead screwdriver or some sort of pick, and you're going to just pop it underneath this little round cap, kind of pry forward, and it should come right off. Next, grab a ratchet with an extension and an 8mm socket, and we're going to use it to start backing the screw out inside the hole, but you only want to loosen it enough that you can pull the handle out and leave it attached, so that way you don't drop the screw into the door panel. There we go. Moving up towards the window, we're going to have a long trim piece here that we need to pop out. So we'll just give it some pressure. And you can see that's just got 3 clips on the back of it. Moving in a little bit closer, there's normally a screw here from factory that supports the top of the door panel, but they seem to go missing magically on all of these trucks. So this one has a plastic clip replacing it that I'm going to pop out. Moving over by our side mirror, there's another plastic cap we need to pop off. And if you just kind of pull back on this, it should pop right out, and it's only got 1 clip holding it in there. Behind that cap, we've got another plastic clip we need to remove, so we'll pop this guy out. Now you can pop off the switch panel here on the side of the door, and I like to just start up by the top here and work my way back. And then just be careful, because now we're going to flip it over and we're going to need to disconnect these wiring harnesses. I'll start with this yellow multi-pin at the top, and we're just going to pinch where my thumb is, kind of wiggle back. You want to try and be gentle because these things do get brittle and want to break. Then this one is actually 2 split connectors. So the first one, put my thumb on that black tab. Then we'll grab the one behind it here. Lastly, we can grab this connector at the back, and normally there's a tab to push here, but that one snapped off, must have gotten brittle. So I'm just going to wiggle it back. We're finally to the point now where we can pull the door panel off of the truck, but as you go to remove this thing, make sure you start by lifting up and clearing your door lock, and don't just pull straight out. Part of how this door hangs on is with plastic hooks that settle in there, so if you just pull outward on it, you're either going to break something or you're going to have to fight it the whole way. So by lifting up first, it's a lot easier, but also be cautious of this courtesy light in the back of the armrest, because you're going to need to twist that bulb from the back and pop it out before you can get the whole thing off the truck. So I'm going to start by lifting right up here. We'll get that free. We cleared our door lock, and then we'll just watch our wiring here. All right, there we go. And now with it tipped out, I can reach back here. We'll just twist this bulb. Once that's out, I can move the whole panel out of the truck. With the door panel completely out of the way, we have access to this factory speaker now. So I'm going to grab a ratchet with a 7/32 socket on it, and we're going to remove these 4 screws on the front, and then we can tip this thing out. Moving in closer here, you can see the electrical connector for the back of the speaker, and we're just going to use this flathead screwdriver to kind of pop this tab out. And then as we do that, we can work the harness back. Once that's clear, we can pull the speaker out. So I've got my new Kicker speaker here, and when you flip this thing over, you can see that there's 2 tabs on the back that aren't going to directly plug into that factory wiring harness, and it's really not a huge deal. Kicker does actually provide a little bit of wiring and some butt splices here, so that way you can cut the end off the harness and adapt it to this speaker. And while that works pretty well, if you want to avoid all that splicing and having to mess with the factory equipment, there are actually adapters that you can get online that plug directly into that connector and adapt to the Kicker speaker. So it's a pretty simple little piece, but if you order these kicker kits from us. We do actually provide them in the kit, which is really handy. So that's how I'm going to install it on this truck, and we can go ahead and get this thing plugged in. On the back of this kicker unit, there's a little red marking here to notate which tab is power and which one's ground. So for the red, which is power, we're going to take our white wire and connector, and we're just going to pop this on into place. And then, of course, the other one will be the ground. You just want to make sure those click in there and that they're on nice and tight. And then once you've got them locked on, we can take the other end of the connector and just plug this into the factory wiring. All right, and from here, we're just going to use the factory hardware to remount the speaker to the door. Everything's buttoned up with the speaker on this side, so obviously you're just going to kind of replicate the same steps on the other side of the truck. But I'm going to go ahead and put the door panel back on, reconnect everything here, and then we can move to the back cab corner where we have those speakers down by the floor. So behind your seats here on this back pillar, you're gonna have sort of a shoulder hanger for your seat belt, and you'll wanna pop this plastic cover off, and it kind of just flips up. And then underneath, you'll see that there's a hidden nut in here, and we're gonna need to take that off with a 15mm socket. On the back section of this plastic panel here, you're gonna have two plastic clips you need to pop out. Sometimes they're missing. I don't have the bottom one here, but all you need to do is kind of push the center portion in. Just give it a little click there, and you should be able to get your pry tool behind it after that. Just pop the whole thing out. Now we can get this whole panel out of the way, and there's a couple different plastic clips lined up behind this that are holding it in, so just be delicate, but we can work this whole thing out of here. To remove this lower panel, we're gonna have two more clips here, just like the top ones, where you need to push the center to pop them out. Once again, my bottom one is missing, but we'll get this guy free. And then there's also another little clip kind of hidden up here, which operates the same way, where you punch the center and then pop it out. So we'll get those free, then we can pull this out and undo the seat belt from inside this little loop, and we should have a lot better access. You may also have to pry up on the sill plate down here because it does kind of hook underneath it. We've got access to our factory speaker down here now, and removing it's going to be basically the same process as it was up front. So I've got the ratchet and a little 7/32 socket. We'll remove all 4 screws, pull this thing out, and then we can add our new wiring adapter and the new kicker speaker in with that factory hardware and button everything else back up. All right, that speaker's all mounted up. Everything's looking pretty solid. So from here, just walk back on the same steps we did to take those plastic pieces apart. We'll do the bottom panel, the top panel, then remount the seatbelt and everything else, and we should be all set. Well, folks, that's going to be a wrap on this kicker speaker install. Hopefully it was a helpful video for you guys, and these should be a very big upgrade over the old blown out factory speakers that are in these trucks. So with that being said, if you are looking to pick up a set of these speakers and you don't have a kit already, we'll put some links down in the description below that'll shoot you over to our website. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.